thing they shouldn't have been eating. They were eating cat food. All jokes, but yeah. So hopefully those guys get better. I think Lucas texted, a little bit an hour ago, so he's doing a lot better. All jokes aside, and him and Robert make sure they get healed. I think they got some type of sickness. I don't know. I think both of them either ate the same thing, drank the same thing, or got the same bug. Somehow it's connected. I just know it is. Yeah, so get well, guys. You youngsters. Ding dong. Put you on the ding dong because we can't wait all the way to Monday, so we got to put your guys on there now. So, yeah, that's pretty much it. Besides the Heat beating the Celtics, which I picked the Celtics, man. Dang.
Jimmy Buckets.
Yeah, Jimmy Butler. Yeah, my wife's cousin. Last name Butler. Jimmy Buckets is just, he's an assassin, a confident dude. Man, whew, it's going to be a good one. These Final Four are pretty good there in the NBA.
I'm wondering, if anything would make you watch, like if you say, I don't really care about the NBA, I don't care. LeBron is a controversial figure to people.
Yep.
As long as he's playing, that puts more eyeballs on it.
Yep.
But the Celtics and the Heat is just.
Yeah.
Now, you talked a lot about the Joker.
Yeah. Oh, I love me.
He's not going to run down and 360 dunk or anything crazy like that.
But he beat him down the court, though.
He did. He's done some of that. He's out-hustled some people. But I wonder if people are like, you know what, man? I'm not a big NBA person, but who knows how many more of these LeBron's got in him I'm going to watch. The Nuggets might turn into one of those teams that's a yearly contender I'm going to watch. And then in the East, we've sort of been waiting for the Celtics to maybe cash in that next championship. A lot of people's parents were Celtics fans.
Yeah.
The Celtics were big in the 80s, and they had other runs.
And they made it to the finals last year and lost to Curry and crew.
And then the Heat, the Celtics won, 13 more games than the Heat this year. The Celtics, like you said, picked to win. So can the Heat get the upset? The Heat are fun to watch. Jimmy Butler's fun to watch.
Oh, man, he's just so disciplined and so mentally tough when I watch him play. And it's very strategic and a team guy, but can score, with the best of them. So whatever the team needs on that night, he feels through it throughout the game, and he's clutch. He's clutch. Yeah, man, and they got some good pieces around him. So, man, this is going to be a really, really good 4 teams to see who makes it to the final. I'm hoping both series go 7, and it's a nail-biter all the way. And I'm sure the NBA is too, So, so about time Ja gets suspended, they'll be talking about the finals and not Ja Morant, unfortunately.
Yeah. Well, we'll get the latest on that from Teresa Walker, what she's got to say about Ja. Man, fantastic player right here in the state of Tennessee, but getting attention for all the wrong reasons, for sure. So we hadn't even had a chance to talk about this. Here's what I was going to ask everybody.
What's that?
Do you know how many – we got Action Jackson sitting in for the 2 ding-dongs today, too.
Yeah, he's always dependable.
He's always just rock solid. Look at him.
Yeah.
He's in there smiling.
Solid as a rock. Doom, doom. Nope, I'll let you do the rest part.
I'm going to just leave it because that's too good to try to follow. Do you guys know how many different networks you're going to have access to now to watch every NFL game?
Oh, I haven't even thought about that.
That you want to watch?
Well, how about this? There's only one network I'm watching, and that's called Titans. Well, so that's the only network I'm watching.
Luckily,
that come on local TV.
It does, and it always will, unless the NFL just decides to get so greedy, like baseball, where they just say, "Screw you, we're going to do whatever we want," like baseball, which doesn't make the money that football does. But your local game will always come on in your local market if you live in at least until they change that. But for right now,
they may start trying to change that.
But like Blaine grew up in Indy. What'd you get? Bears games?
Yep, Chicago Bears.
Okay.
Because they ain't had a coach, by the way, if you don't know that. Yeah. They ain't had a coach till I got in middle school.
Okay, imagine growing up in a bean field in Arkansas. We got
what did I get?
The Steelers.
Oh, dang.
And the Cowboys.
They brainwashed you guys already.
There are so many people our age who are Steelers and Cowboys fans because they live somewhere like me. And the Steelers were always on at noon, and the Cowboys were always on at 3. Unless, of course, they were on, you got to remember, this was a different world, Monday Night Football, which was the only other – that was the only other time slot that football was. But here you go. Games this season will be on CBS, Fox, NBC, ABC, ESPN, ESPN Plus, NFL Network, Amazon Prime, and now Peacock. That is absolutely insane to me. And I want to find this quote. I'm going to find this quote from this NFL executive. I got it right here.
But I'm going to have to ask you guys something. You ready? Go ahead.
He said the key is for the league to grow. That's why they're doing this. You know what's growing? Bank accounts. That's it. You can't put your stuff on 10 different channels and say that's to grow. You can't do it.
And I'm about to ask a ding-dong. It could be a ding-dong question just because I don't know like how this all works. When you're talking about streaming and then what comes on your, even a youngster can help us, or what comes on, it comes with your TV. Mm-hmm. Like on my TV, I get, Peacock, YouTube TV, all those different streaming outlets. And once it comes with your TV, you'll be able to get it for free, or will you still have to pay if it doesn't come with your TV? Like some people don't have those up-to-date HD TVs. Do you still have to pay? I'm like, yeah, I probably got to pay, right?
Well, everybody has to have a HD TV now of some kind, or you can't get. It may be older or younger, but you have to have you have to have high def to watch TV now. But my mom has.
And I'm asking because half my family is sharing my thing, so they gonna shut that off. I guarantee it. That's coming.
Hey, man, there's 16 logins on Hitman
right.
23.
How they watching it from different locations, all at the same time.
Man, it's a big,
that's happening because they're like, we got to stop this from happening. And, I know a whole bunch of friends are doing the same thing with their families and everything else. So, man, I mean, is that, I'm trying to figure out, what are they thinking besides being in other countries and everything else? All these TV revenues. And remember, I was perplexed with them, being able to, flex on different channels. Mm-hmm. Stations. Like, how can they do that? Or before you were linked to, the NFC was linked to ABC and the AFC, just using examples, to CBS or whatever, Fox. Mm-hmm. And now that's kind of changed. It's like, whoa, they're going to go to the highest bidder? How is this working, in a week's time? So I'm sure it all revolves around the moolah, as you're mentioning, but how that all works and how they put that in the contract, and they foresaw this down the road in the contracts, or it was some stipulations in the contract where they could get out and do this, is really fascinating. That's why, billionaires got billionaire-type lawyers.
I think this is just how, when the new TV deals came up, I think they probably just went to networks and said, here's the way it's going to be, and here's what it's going to cost. Because we're the king. And the TV networks are like, okay, who do we make the check out?
Is that how it works?
Make the check out to Roger.
I mean, the networks are pretty big too, but I know they're not bigger than ever. But they can't bully them.
I think they bullied him. I think they bullied him into the thing you're talking about, where it's not Fox gets the NFC and CBS gets the AFC. It used to be different, but that's what it is. It's what it was. So all they have to do now is hit a minimum threshold. So Fox has to get a certain number of NFC games. CBS has to get a certain number of AFC games. And for the playoffs, that'll still be kind of the primary homes, those networks. Well, for the playoffs, it kind of reverts back to that. But during the regular season, man, you get like the Giants and the Cowboys on CBS, which would have never happened.
So you think one side or the other was upset that the league, everything ebbs and flows. I mean, the NFC East was great when we were growing up, and then it kind of had its downward tick, and then now it's up again, and all the teams are really good. Even the Commanders are competitive for sure. Which were dominant with the Hogs in the 80s and early 90s. So, man, I'm wondering if that's why some of the networks like, hey, man, we're getting dud games. We're not in the position to even compete with the other networks if we don't get some good games. Mm-hmm. So that's maybe why both sides kind of wilted and said, okay, well, we'll make this even on both our sides, but also for the NFL, who then will prosper and grow even bigger. Wow. Sometimes I dream that I was that.
Billionaires, man. Think about this. Billionaires.
I gotta go to work, man. I gotta start doing triple time, man. I'm getting up at 5. I gotta get up at 4.
So we have we have cable TV. I've tried the dishy things a couple times, and every time it rained, I couldn't get any TV channels. So I said, screw it. We'll just always have cable because it always works. It always works. So just as part of our cable, there's Peacock. We just get it. So I just get it. But like my in-laws, they live in the middle of nowhere in rural Illinois. And I asked my father-in-law, because he likes basketball more than football, but I was asking him about streaming stuff. He goes, we can't stream anything. Our internet's terrible. We get TV.
Wow. Were they in the middle of nowhere?
Nowhere.
Oh, well, that happens sometimes.
He said, well, we can't get any streaming service. We don't have any of them. He said, our internet won't support any of it.
What, do they have HD TVs?
They have HGTVs, and they have a dish outside nailed to the side of their house.
No, here's what I'm about to say. If you have an HD, help us out there, solid as a rock there. If you have an HD TV, if you sign up for, like, I'm just going to use Hulu. Mm-hmm. You sign up and pay prescription, which is, I don't know, whatever the amount it is for the year.
Yep.
And then they play Hulu. They play the games on Hulu, using that as an example. You could then watch it and have to worry about it, right?
They can't because their internet won't carry a ball game.
So let's use a good example. Prime Video. So that's where they're playing games on now, the NFL game. So if you got that on your TV and you subscribe to it, you can watch an NFL game.
Yeah, but they can't because the hamster wheel just turns.
Oh, man.
I mean, they have internet in the lowest amount of terms. Like, hey, this is going to take a while. If you got to log on and, like, buy something from Amazon or whatever, it takes it a long time. So it won't even.
So they can't even put something in their house?
Mm-mm.
Like, the reason why I say that, because you keep saying, oh, they got the disc outside. I don't have a disc outside my house.
They just
I have it in the closet where it's connected up to the wires that then connect your cable.
Yeah,
that's how it's done.
They have like the Dish Network, the dish outside their house. They have Dish Network because I don't even know if cable's available where they live. So they have the Dish Network. So they'll get whatever comes via Dish Network, but that's it.
Well, yeah, man, y'all need to, there's a whole bunch of other little, wizards and all this other stuff that people get that make, I can't give you all my secrets, man. You get all this stuff. Yeah, man. Watch this. Hey, you love playing games? I figured this out probably 6 months ago, so because I'm a ding-dong on this. Well, my son has, PlayStation. So I'm watching him play the PlayStation. He's playing, Mortal Kombat and boom, 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 boom. And I said, and then he had to go to the restroom and it paused, and then you could see all the different channels that I could subscribe to.
Mm-hmm.
No, not subscribe to. They come with the freaking game.
Mm-hmm.
I went down to my wife. I said, hey, cut off all these channels right here that's on this PlayStation. And we can get these things for free on PlayStation.
Yeah.
And then we don't have to pay.
Mm-hmm.
I said, in worst case scenario, she wasn't buying it. I said, well, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take that box, and I'm going to get rid of that box. The little bitty ones that you have all in the spare room. Well, as long as I got the network and a station, PlayStation in there, because we had two, I'm like, dude, we're putting it in there. And we're going to case study and see if this works. Yeah, because a couple of my friends were saying they get cable that way. And I said, What? That sounds weird. They said, yeah. And then I saw, and I was like, oh, we're getting cable. And it cut your bill, more than half. Because, to get all those channels that come with the actual PlayStation, it was only like $25 or whatever it was. Meanwhile, the cable bill is like 100 and something. So I don't know if that works for all of y'all, but, especially if you're not in the middle of nowhere. But I was like, dang. And it was unbelievable.
I'll tell you who else.
I got duped.
Well, who never gets duped is Ben Mckee. He's always unbelievable. He will join us next. Let's get an update from Rocky Top, the last recruit from the 2023 class. Baseball, it's all going on. We'll get an update on all of it next.
Start. Way to let that thing play.
Blaine and Mckee
Wow.
on 04.5. So just moonwalking through a Thursday afternoon in here.
I saw Michael sliding right across this table right here. Boy, that thing was silky smooth. Late
Well,
great.
this one just hits
Michael
different.
Jackson.
Absolutely. You know who loves Michael Jackson, I bet, just dancing and getting down is Ben Mckee. Ben, how many high school dances did you just throw it down and moonwalk at back in the day while this song played?
Oh, plenty. I mean, I hate to brag on myself, but I got to go to prom multiple times, 4 times, because I was that guy in high school. I was him, as the kids would say nowadays. So I was moonwalking everywhere.
What?
That doesn't even surprise me, man.
No,
Swag-tastic Ben
I definitely
McKee.
wasn't doing the moonwalking, but I was all over that slow dance. When that slow dance music come on, let's rock and roll. Let's go.
Yes, I was a big fan of the slow dance music, and there's other songs that parents probably don't want to know that their kids dance to at dances as well that I enjoyed. But yeah, anytime Michael Jackson came on, I at least thought I was moonwalking. I don't think that I actually was in a good way, but I thought that I was.
Yeah, we were out there right there with you.
100%. Yep. Absolutely. Ben McKee at Ben McKee 14 on Twitter. GoVols 247. Look, we're going to ask you a lot of sports questions, but I have to ask you this because it took up a lot of Twitter bandwidth for me for a couple of days. Were you part of this Pop-Tarts taste testing thing that happened in the Vols baseball club or media room?
I absolutely was. And I was kind of the one that ignited it. It wasn't my idea to do the test tasting. That belonged to Mike Wilson, but Mike got the idea from me because, I'm living this dad life now, and there's not a whole ton of time to prep for meals and eat proper food. So on the fly for a midweek baseball game, or maybe it was a weekend game, I don't know. I eat Pop-Tarts all the time because, again, I have a 10-month-old, and I eat when I can, what I can. And Pop-Tarts are a hot commodity in my house. And then, look, I love Pop-Tarts anyways. I've always eaten Pop-Tarts.
Oh, yeah.
And
Strawberry,
s'mores are
right?
I like strawberry. The fruit ones are good, but my favorite is the s'mores and the brown sugar cinnamon. Those are my 2 favorite, without a doubt. And if you pop the s'mores in the toaster for about 10, 15 seconds or a microwave, it's the absolute best. And they thought that s'mores Pop-Tarts sounded disgusting and weren't going to be popping like they were, and they were out of their mind. I mean, if you don't want to say s'mores is your favorite, okay, that's fine. But to think that it's a bad Pop-Tart, that's just absurd.
Oh, man, I love some Pop-Tarts now. Hey, it doesn't matter which one. I just have a favorite with the sprinkle with the strawberry. But do you put it in the toaster, and then do you rub the butter over the top? Do you even do that?
I have not done that, but I did see some people. I did see some people who do that. I don't. That doesn't really sound good on a s'mores Pop-Tart, but maybe a strawberry or a blueberry. Like I would definitely try it. Look, I am a foodie. I will try anything. I may not like it, but I will try anything.
Butter on a Pop-Tart is next level. I got taught that a long time ago.
Yes.
It just takes it to the next spot. Ben McKee taking us to the next spot with some Pop-Tart and Vols knowledge here on Blaine and Mckee.
Well, man, I guess we got to start off with this new development here on the waterfront. Kind of give us details on the AD, Danny White, and what he's proposing to maybe do here, to have a even more nice experience as a fan of the Vols.
Yeah,
More money.
Yeah, it seems
more money,
seems
right?
pretty cool. Yeah, always more money. That's what any athletic department wants. But if anybody's familiar with the Battery in Atlanta around the Braves Stadium, that's kind of the idea. Obviously, it won't look the same, and I think it's a great idea. But I'm also fascinated to see how it turns out and what it looks like when it's all said and done, and if it can come to fruition as well, because they are seeking outside counsel to see how feasible some of their ideas are. So it looks like something is going to happen, but some of the things that they kind of brought to the table and proposed to fans, or kind of what they put down in writing as to what their vision is, like a tabletop on top of G10, the parking garage in between Thompson Bowling Arena and Neyland Stadium. That sounds awesome, but I am just fascinated to see how that looks and how it turns out, and if you can make that work, to be quite honest. But if they can pull it off and really spoof up that area down there, there's not a lot of room to work with, so that makes it even more fascinating. It'll be really cool. And I mean, it's hard to argue that Danny White isn't one of the best athletic directors in the country at this point. And I know that you didn't really ask me from that standpoint, but that's really into my mind when I saw this. Is that, man, Danny White is really innovative, and in 2023 with technology and it being real easy for people to stay home and watch games, it's far cheaper to do that, and especially with your high definition televisions, you have to be innovative, and he is innovative as innovative gets. I think he is very elite in that category, and we've only seen him hire Josh Heupel, but at Buffalo and at UCF, he hired some great coaches there as well, so you can check off that box, and he's a great fundraiser as well. So in terms of all three of those boxes that you kind of look for in an athletic director, Danny White checks them off and does each one of those as well as anybody. So I think it's a great idea, and one that will really be cool if it does come to fruition.
Yeah, because this seems like this will be a huge project. Will this be the first that you've heard of in college, kind of this entertainment district like this around a college stadium like that?
It was the first that I had heard it when I saw Tennessee put out the news yesterday, but come to find out, Iowa State is currently doing something like this, or already has something like this. Apparently they have like 46 acres around their campus that they're working on to do something like this. But no, I mean, other than Tennessee and Iowa State, I haven't seen this at all. I mean, I think there's always kind of a natural beautification process, if you want to use that phrase, on campus. I mean, you go down to Tuscaloosa, and the city of Tuscaloosa is what it is, but you get onto campus and all that money that Nick Saban has produced, the entire campus looks absolutely magnificent because every building is brand new from all the money that Nick Saban has helped to generate because of the success with the football program. So I think that there's always kind of a natural evolution on campuses nowadays to try and attract students and also athletes, obviously. But this seems second level. And if they can get some restaurants down there and like the idea of a tabletop on top of G10 just sounds really, really cool. And it'll make for more room to tailgate as well.
No doubt about it. So since we're talking about development, where is the development of our man Joe Milton at quarterback, as well as Nico? And I'll let you say his last name.
Well, you better get to practicing, because I'm not saying Nico Iamaleava is going to be in the fold this year as the guy. Okay. I certainly think Nico will play. He is a five-star freshman, and there's a lot of other positive conversations that have surrounded Nico since he committed and signed with Tennessee as well. So you know that he's going to play. But Joe Milton enters the season as the guy. And I know there's a little talk here and there from people outside of Knoxville about quarterback competition and this and that. But Joe Milton's the guy, and he's earned it. Now, he still has plenty to prove. I think he improved last season. I thought that was evident when he was in garbage time and also against Vanderbilt and Clemson to end the season. That first year when he won the starting quarterback job and had it taken away, he just looked like an athlete or a big physical specimen playing quarterback, whereas last year in mop-up duty and in those final two games, he looked like a quarterback, and that's because of the development under Josh Heupel and Joey Halzle and Alex Golesh. He was putting touches on his passes. He was anticipating throws. He was feeling pressure in the pocket. He had complete command of the offense. So small sample size, and because of that small sample size, that's why I say that he has to still go prove it this season. But I think he will. I think he'll have a good season. The question is how good. He has the potential to have a great year, just like Hendon did, and vault himself into being a first-round pick. So Joe Milton's the guy, but I also think Nico's going to have his moments as well, and just in the sense of kind of playing the role of what Joe Milton did last year to Hendon Hooker, being the backup quarterback and taking advantage of mop-up duty to improve and develop. And if Joe gets hurt, because it is football after all, injuries happen in this sport, Nico will be ready. Will he be Trevor Lawrence as a freshman? I don't know, but I think he'll at least be serviceable. He appears to have his head on straight after enrolling early and have a firm grasp of how to do things for a freshman, and Josh Heupel has some nice things to say about him throughout the spring. So I think the quarterback position at Tennessee could not be a better situation. I know there's been guys to come through, since Peyton and good quarterbacks, but in my lifetime, and more so this last decade to 15 years of keeping up with Tennessee football, I mean, the quarterback position is as great as I've ever seen it.
No doubt about it. We're on with Go Vols 247, Ben Mckee.
Ben, tell us about Emmanuel Okoye. It seems like an interesting story.
Yes, very interesting. Played at the NFL Academy from Nigeria, and a guy that kind of flew under the radar, but he is just an absolute freak of an athlete. And, I mean, any type of way that you want to measure his athleticism, his numbers are through the roof, whether it be a vertical or whatever. I mean, he is just – he's probably going to step foot on campus in just natural athleticism. I mean, he might be the most athletic guy on Tennessee's roster, maybe on campus. I mean, he's certainly in the conversation. That's just how big of an athlete he is. How quickly will he be able to provide an impact? I don't know, because there's certainly going to need to be some development just in terms of the football player, not the athlete. But, man, if it clicks for him, and it looks like he's going to start off as an edge rusher, and you certainly trust Rodney Garner to chip in there. I know Rodney Garner's the defensive lines coach, and Mike Eckler's the outside linebackers coach, but that's a collaborative effort. And Eckler and Garner, those guys are certainly going to coach up and develop their guys. So if it clicks for Okoye, I mean, the potential in that guy is through the roof. I mean, he could be a first round pick one day. I mean, that's the type of athleticism that he has, and if it clicks as a football player, he's going to be making a lot of money for a long time and playing football for a long time. So it's a significant pickup. I don't know that it's significant in the meantime. He is going to enroll this fall and be on the team this season. But again, I do think it's more of a developmental situation. But once he is developed, he should be a high-impact player.
Yeah, Mckee, our guest. So breaking news, I guess the Vols baseball game from today canceled, moved to a doubleheader. Move to tomorrow. Yes, the Blaine Bishop breaking news, the signal there for you, Ben. But wild to think, the Vols are tied for 7th in the SEC with Auburn, but they could finish anywhere from 4th to 10th heading into the SEC tournament. So no matter what days they play on, there's a lot to play for.
There is, and I appreciate you telling me that as I drive through Asheville to get down there.
Oh, sorry about that. Yeah,
for baseball. So that's fun. Now I got to decide whether I want to go down there or go back to Knoxville for the night. But
this is via Tennessee baseball. Thursday's game against South Carolina has been postponed. We will play a doubleheader on Friday, May 19th, beginning at 3 p.m. Eastern Time at Founders Park.
Lovely. I appreciate it. I would have trusted you even if you had not told me it was from Tennessee.
Oh, man. You're almost there, right?
I was in a great spot. They turned their season around, and if they can go down to South Carolina this weekend against a South Carolina team that has had a great year, but is struggling right now. They've won, I believe it's 3-9 in their last 12 games, and 2-7 in their last 9 SEC games, and they were projected to be a automatic lock of a host for the postseason, but because of this recent slide, they're playing to host in the NCAA tournament as well, just like Tennessee is. Because on the flip side, Tennessee's won 13-17 to position itself in a good spot to potentially host if they can win this weekend and not go one and done in Hoover. But yeah, that's kind of the state of SEC baseball. It's just a logjam for most of the standings, especially when you look at kind of that tier 2 and before you get to the very bottom. If Tennessee could sweep South Carolina and Arkansas could sweep Vanderbilt in Nashville, then Tennessee would be the 4th seed in Hoover and get the bye and just automatically play in the double elimination part beginning on Wednesday. But if they go down and get swept by South Carolina, then they could end up as low as the 10th seed. Now, you would probably need some other teams to have great weekends as well. But there's a wide range of possibilities for Tennessee this weekend. But the main focus is handling business, not for Hoover, but to host the NCAA tournament in your place here in 2 weeks. Because Tennessee hasn't been all that great on the road. I do feel like they've turned a corner 2 weekends ago at Georgia, although they didn't necessarily have the results to show for it. But we'll see this weekend. Again, South Carolina's in a slide right now, and they're really banged up. Their pitching staff is really, really banged up, and they're going to be without their ace and a couple of their key arms. So this is a weekend that will be tough for Tennessee because it's hard to play at South Carolina. It's a great atmosphere for college baseball, but they should be able to take advantage of a banged-up South Carolina team and one that they're, quite frankly, playing better baseball than right now.
Hanging out with Ben Mckee at Ben Mckee 14. Go Vols 247. Read his work there.
Yeah, Big Ben. I guess a couple more questions here on Vol football, and that is, they're hot right now in recruiting. What do you attribute that to with all the great signings? It seems like this may be one of the best, if not the best, class he's gotten.
Yes, there's no doubt about it, and they are in position to land several big-time prospects over the next several months leading up to signing day. They're in it for, off the top of my head, I think it's like double-digit 5-stars.
So they may be top 10 then, huh?
Yes. I would be surprised at this point if they don't finish with a top 10 class and maybe flirt with a top 5 class, to be honest with you. Those are the type of guys that they're in with, and they've already established a good base, a good foundation in this year's recruiting cycle. But if they're going to pull it off, I do think they're going to have to continue their winning ways this season. If they could have a nice September by taking care of business against Virginia there in Nashville at Nissan Stadium, and also Florida on the road, go down to Gainesville and win a game that you should win because Florida is struggling right now, and I don't know that they're going to have that great of a season. And you also play South Carolina. This is an odd calendar year in the sense of Tennessee has 5 games in September, which typically you only see 4, but 3 of those 5 are really key games that I feel like Tennessee will be the better football team than and should win against Virginia, basically a home game in Nashville, on the road at Florida, and then a home game against South Carolina. You should be 5-0 at the end of September, in my opinion. And if you are, I think you're going to continue to see Tennessee gain more and more momentum on the recruiting trail. But there's so many different reasons why Tennessee's recruiting well. Obviously, the 10 wins last year helps a ton. Double-digit wins helps. The ability to develop Hendon Hooker and Jalen Hyatt and Darnell Wright and Byron Young, that sells NFL draft picks, as you well know. Guys want to get to the league, and Tennessee is showing, this coaching staff is showing that they can get guys in the league. I think Tennessee's in a great position NIL-wise, which is very important nowadays. And Josh Heupel, whether it be his coaching staff or in the player locker room, just a great culture amongst that coaching staff and amongst the players as well. So there's a million reasons, quite frankly. We could have a 3-hour show on it, but Tennessee's recruiting at a really high level because of last year's success at the end of the day.
All right, one question, one answer, and that is the lowest number of wins Tennessee will have next season.
9.
That's the basement. So 9.
I get, you could say 8, but I'm feeling good today, so I'll say 9.
All right, cool, man. All right, well, have fun on your drive back to Knoxville. You're feeling so good.
Be careful, buddy.
I appreciate it. Always enjoy joining y'all.
Yes, sir. Ben
S'mores.
McKee.
I'm about to get some.
Pop-Tarts. Butter them at Ben McKee 14, eating his buttered Pop-Tarts. Go Vols 247. Funny you brought up the Vols win total. Dropped from Vegas today.
What was
Opening win. I'm going to tell people after the break. It's called a tease.
I can't wait.
Come on back. I think it's a half a game low.
Ooh. Mm. Well, May brings us the reminder that the hot and humid days are just about here for the long run. So allow Cool Ray to keep you from breaking a sweat. They'll quite literally do that with a $69 AC tune-up. And Cool Ray's trusted certified technicians will have your air conditioned system tuned up and cleaned up as we enter what's sure to be a sizzling summer season. And maybe you know this is the year your AC needs to finally get replaced. Well, Cool Ray has brand new Temp Star home comfort systems on hand and ready for same day or next day installation. Plus, they boost the industry leading warranties that will give you peace of mind for many more hot days to come. And don't forget, Cool Ray isn't just there for your HVAC needs. Say hello to Cool Ray's electrical department. And along with whole home generators and surge protection to protect your home from storms, they are skilled at AV upgrades so that you can enjoy your home theater area when things are messy outside. So schedule next visit online at coolray.com. No phone call, no wait, no worries. You pick the date and time that works for you. That's coolray.com.
Blaine and Mckee 104.5
He
The
brings
Zone.
smiles to my face.
We have
man.
Jackson producing today, so he is playing only Jackson, Michael Jackson.
That's if it's nasty. Nope, that's his sister.
We play Janet, Jackson 5. Jackson, you just hit us with all Jacksons today.
Only relatives. Only relatives.
Jermaine had a couple of solo hits.
All my
Maybe
cousins.
Dig up something by
All
Tito.
his cousins. Yeah.
Tito, give me a tissue.
It's like
I
Jimmy
don't-
Butler's my wife's cousin.
I don't know if people would need. Yeah, you need to get your cousin to get us some good courtside seats for one of these games, man. I'm all in. If you're all in on wanting to bet the Vols, this is interesting, man.
Vols football.
They opened, yes, sir. They opened 7.5 was their over under last year. Because I remember us talking about it and be like,
Now, but remember what did I say?
you were over on them.
Oh, yeah.
You thought they were going to win 10 games.
Yep. I mean, they were.
10 games.
Yep. Then with the bow.
Yep. You said 10 from the jump.
Yeah.
Like when people were like in the chat,
And everybody was making fun of me.
chat, like, come on, Hitman, come on, man. We don't know about all that.
Hey, anybody know that's been listening? I keep it real. I call it as I see it. Now this year, I'm right there with Mckee. I think 9 is the number.
Bet Online says the Vols win total over under is set at 9. I thought it would be 9.5.
Oh, okay. So you think it's short?
I thought it'd be 9.5.
I'm not smart enough for you to know about the half stuff.
So 9.5. So and
I've never seen a team win half of a game, but that's to get people to bet.
Get people to bet. So I mean, Virginia, as Ben
Win.
said here, Austin P.
Win. Yeah.
Florida's picked to win
Oh,
5.5 games.
No, Florida's not winning. They're done.
Texas San Antonio, who's always pretty good.
Texas, San Antonio.
Yeah, you got to beat Texas.
Oh, no, they're beating them.
Yep. South Carolina,
They
I would
getting them.
imagine revenge.
Oh,
on
they're
your
getting them
mind.
at home, too.
Okay, so that was the 5-0 he was talking about in September. Texas A&M, what in their recent history says you can't beat them?
Can't beat them, but that's a coin toss. Where's it at? A&M?
No, it's in Knox Vegas.
Oh, okay. Oh, ooh, I'm going to give them the favor.
Then you got to go to at Alabama.
All right, no.
You got Bama last year. Then at Kentucky. No
They gonna
Will
get
Levis
Kentucky.
not walking through that
So
door.
that's 7.
UConn,
8.
Missouri,
9.
Georgia,
Yeah.
Vanderbilt.
10. So the toss-up game for me is the A&M game. The A&M game, I think, is going, even though it's at home, they should get them. But remember, they got a new coordinator. We're going to see how this all works out with Mr. You-know-who, Motorcycle, Petrino, and him and how it works out. But if they cooking, that could be a really tough game. So that could be the toss-up game in my mind. But, all the SEC games are going to be, really tough from Missouri, Kentucky. They got to go in there and play their best, but they should win where they're at now. As long as Milton plays like he played in the bowl game, they'll be fine.
I want to look at Texas A&M's over and under. What's going to get Jimbo finally run out of town, do you think? Would it be
I
this
think
year?
he's underachieved. I've been saying it for a while. He hasn't, I don't know, man. I think so. I would think this year what is their over? It's low? What is it?
7.5.
Oh, then the UT's going to beat them. They're going to win 10.
Oh, 7.5.
Oh, he going to get axed.
Texas Longhorns 9.5.
Yeah, he's gonna get waxed. They can't. There's
Texas
no way.
San Antonio is 8.5. I don't think they'll beat Tennessee, but they seem to always be a good competitive
Oh no,
team.
for
That'd be a fun
for their
game.
league. They're always at the top, no doubt.
That'll be fun for at least a couple of quarters. You hope.
But they got some Texas talent, so some of those guys can compete on the SEC level. It's just
Texas
they don't have a team.
A&M. They opened at 8.5 in 2022. Again, says Bet Online.
Dang.
7.
Yeah.
If they win 7 games,
Oh,
hey
he's
man,
done.
like thanks for
Like
the memories.
they can win 9, and it could be. Oh no, what did he win last year? 8.
I'd have to look it
Because
up.
right when they beat a big name, maybe like they beat Alabama, then they come back and lose to somebody else, and they go, "Well, how did that happen?" They have that letdown. And that's the players and the coaches making sure that, hey, man, we haven't arrived just because we beat Alabama. We got to come back and see how we respond to beating the big team. That really tells you who you are. Can't have a letdown. Yeah, dang, man, that's shocking. 7 wins for A&M.
And 7.5. Let's see. What was 22 Texas A&M football? They were 5-7.
Yeah, this is
I
it.
couldn't remember if it was 5 or 6.
This
that
is
they
make or
won.
break right here. This is it for Jimbo. Well, with that being said, on the road again We'll come check you out after this break again.
We do need to take a break. Hour number 2 coming up. Teresa Walker is going to join us. On the other side, a lot of people think the Titans will be bad. There is an interesting, talking about wins and losses and what Vegas thinks, interesting little article in The Athletic. Maybe somebody doesn't think the Titans will be as bad as a bunch of people think they will. I'll explain it all next.
Good afternoon from the Superbook.com sports desk. I'm Joe Huck. The Tennessee Titans have announced that TVS will serve as the architect of record on the brand new football stadium, that project. Now, the Metropolitan Sports Authority just a couple of hours ago approved everything, and the TVS has experience in the city of Nashville as they helped, and they were the AOR, architect of record, on the Music City Center, and they also helped in Atlanta with Mercedes-Benz Stadium. Vanderbilt is getting ready to take on Arkansas tonight over at Hawkins. 6 p.m. is going to be your first pitch, and that game is going to be on the SEC Network. Tennessee will not be taking on South Carolina tonight at 6 o'clock because that game has just now been postponed, and they will have a double header coming up in tomorrow. So both games will be 9 innings, but no Tennessee Vol baseball tonight on 104.5 The Zone. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, you need to visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once in your home for the Vols, as well as the flagship station for your Tennessee Titans. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Blaine and Mckee, 104.5 The Zone. What's up, everybody? Weekend has started. It's Friday afternoon, man. Thursday afternoon. It's practically Friday is what I meant to say. Action Jackson sitting in for the two ding-dongs today. Everybody got sick yesterday.
I know.
Imagine this. Lucas and your man,
Robert
went in there and ate a sandwich of unknown origin that had been in there.
Did they?
Who knows? Yeah, remember? Lucas is like, hey, there's a big
Lucas eat anything.
muffaletta sandwich in there. We're like, how long's it been in there? I don't know. It's got all these peppers and just all this different stuff on it. I don't know, man. Oh, him and Robert were just pounding that thing. Both of them out today on the disabled list. Action Jackson got a call, 8:15 this morning. You got to get up here, man.
8:15, and it was a turkey sandwich because I talked to Lucas a little bit throughout the day. It was a turkey sandwich yesterday.
Well, I don't think it was turkey. I think it was what was in the break room. I think he's telling you a tall tale.
Oh, well, yeah, he didn't want to throw him under the bus. And meanwhile, Jackson was at home practicing on his Michael Jackson moves and was up there spinning on his back. He's like, dang, man, I got to get up. I've been practicing my moves.
We got to get all Jacksons. Can you do that? The rest of the hour, rest of the show, all Jacksons. So in honor of our guy Jackson, Action Jackson, who's producing today, he's been spinning some of MJ's greatest hits. Now,
who did UT pay for their cakewalk schedule?
Lonzo. UT over/under wins 9.
I'm with him on 9.
For Lonzo, 6.5 is what Mississippi State is sitting at. Lonzo, I know you're always in that F&M bank chat. What do you think? Over/under 6.5. Are they going to get the over or the under there? Speaking of overs and unders, it's interesting because no matter what topic you pick for the Titans, there seems to be two completely schools of thought. Go with Will Levis now. I hate Will Levis, right?
No.
I love Will Levis. That's a terrible draft pick.
Oh.
Tannehill can save the season. Get Tannehill out of here right now. I hope he never plays again. Trade Derrick Henry and get as much as you can. Are you crazy? Derrick Henry should play here another 5 years and then waltz into the Hall of Fame. There's no middle ground for any Titans anything. There's zero middle ground.
So true.
And so you brought this up yesterday, like, man, there's a bunch of people that think the Titans will be terrible. And some people are doing it in the subtle ways, like, here's the power poll. They're 28. Or all these
4 teams from the worst?
4 teams from the worst.
Yeah, I don't see that. I'm not no type of homer. I can't see it. I would say they're right in the middle of the road. The middle of the road.
All of these.
And I get an edge to the Titans if it's a coin toss because we got Vrabel as the coach.
Yep. And he is getting a little bit of love in some places. Vrabel is like, he'll make them better than what they should be, that kind of thing. If you look at all these, which I just love them, the way too early 2024 mock draft, as soon as they draft 2023, then they start putting out the mock. Everybody has them picking like 4th or 5th, something like that, 6th, which is just another way of saying we think they'll be really bad. A bunch of like right around the top 5 picks again after they picked 11th this year.
Where are the Colts?
2nd, 3rd. People don't think they'll be better than the Titans. And all these mock drafts, they're picking 2nd, 3rd, 4th, somewhere along the line.
Because Harrison's the type to be bad on purpose just so he can draft Harrison Jr.
Oh, you got George Brimmer.
He would do something like that, man. He is that kind of owner. Hey, man, put Anthony Richardson there. Game 1. And no one cares how we do it as long as he gets better halfway through the season. We went. I don't care if we had 2 or 3. So we gotta make sure we got to, Harrison Jr. We had his daddy. He's Hall of Fame. He better than his daddy.
Hey, honestly,
Don't tell nobody.
Maybe they'll play Minshew for a while, thinking that would help them get there.
I don't know. I would put nothing past Minshew, man. He is the modern day Ryan Fitzpatrick.
Oh,
Is. That's who he is. You don't know what you're going to get, but you may get the great Minshew. And you be like, woo. Oh, I love him. Especially with, him wearing his Daisy Dukes and his shorts and his mustache, man. He's silly, man. Why do you do that, man?
He has, you talk about, pro athletes have to have a short memory. If you get burned, that's okay. I'll make the next play. You miss a free throw, that's okay. I'll make the next one. Minshew, I threw an interception. I don't care. I'm going to go right back out there and throw it again. I don't care. Another interception. I don't care. I'm about to throw it again.
Fitzpatrick. Yeah, he was one of the two. We knew early on in the game what he was going to be. I love watching him play for the Titans, though. It was entertaining.
But it's that no conscience thing. I'm not worried about what's going to happen. You put me out here.
You believe in me.
You believe in me. So that means I can do everything I think I need to do to win. I love dudes like that who don't ever play scared.
Yeah, that's exactly who they are.
Hey, man. Okay. I know the offense. So you're telling me I'm playing? I'm about to cut it loose. And Minshew, he'll be cutting it loose. George Brimmer, who's our buddy that's the culture reporter, goes way back with Blaine, he basically said yesterday, I think they're going to start Richardson. If he can protect himself and call the right protections, then just put his butt out there and see what happens. A lot of people do think the Titans will be terrible. Not everybody, though. So The Athletic has done a couple of things. They did the season simulator where the computer plays all the games 1,000 times or whatever, then it poops out the results. That simulator gave the Titans a 46.2% chance of making the playoffs.
Oh.
Which I thought, dang, if you're terrible, that seems high.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that does.
And this isn't like a bunch of
chance.
dudes sitting around a table. This was the season simulator that spat out that result. So I thought, well, I wonder if it's just like really high for the Jags. The Jags probability with the Athletic Predictolator is 69.2%.
Oh.
So not even 70% that they'll make it. So really the question for the Jags, are they the 4-8 team that started the season or the one that won 5 in a row down the stretch to make it? But, of course, that was against the Jets who forgot how to football and against the Titans who, Dobbs had been here a week, and they still won the games and beat the people they needed to beat. But are the Jags ready to just step up and be world beaters?
Yeah, well, I don't know. They have a first-place schedule, which the Titans had the last couple of years for sure. So it's going to be a tougher schedule. But we never know how those teams play out. But I would say in the AFC, you know who the tougher schedule guys are. I mean, like the Titans don't play KC or Buffalo. The Jags do.
Have at it, Jags.
Yep. Mm-hmm. -2 right there. that is 2 losses. Now, I'm not going to say they're going to be competitive, but man, unless they take another huge jump. But so we shall see. I don't see the Titans like that. Especially what gives me more confidence, I continually hear that the Titans offense like it's something new.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going, ooh, I get so excited. And I have to temper that excitement because I know it's not going to be like Andy Reid type excitement, throwing it around the yard. But it's going to be different. And it's still going to have some elements, I'm sure, of some of the past. When you got the king in there, the running game got to be somewhat like that. But it's going to be some new wrinkles. So I can't wait to see what it's going to look like. And maybe that could lead to catching some people off guard early on in their season, their game 1 and 2. So, and if you're going to kind of, open it up a little bit and not be stuffy and run left, run right, I'm all for it. It's the last hurdle for me. And then that'll put you right where you need to be.
So
with that defense.
Yep. Most everywhere I've seen, the odds houses in Vegas are saying 7.5 over-under for the Titans. 7.5 over-under wins. So another reporter for The Athletic, Vic Tafur, who's covered, I hope I'm saying his last name right, Tafur. He's been around forever. I think he covered the Raiders for a long time. But this is his quote about the Titans. He went through every team's schedule, and this is what he said. Tennessee, over-under 7.5. Take the over. He said this is going to go one of 2 ways. The old guys make a stand, Or Ryan Tannehill is benched for Will Levis by the bye in Week 6, and Derrick Henry is traded to the Cowboys. He said, we're going to go with option A. He said the Titans were 6-6 with Tannehill last year, and they went 1-4 without him. And he's saying a big part of this is weeks 3 through 5. They played the Raiders, Colts, and Commanders, and he says, and they do it with a defense that is always better than you think.
Mm-hmm.
This dude thinks over 7.5. Blaine, last year 8 wins would have won the AFC South. If the Titans had won 8, they had the tiebreakers all over the Colts. So this guy thinks 8 is where they are. What if they messed around and won 9? 9 probably will win the South.
Oh, I'm not sure what the number actually will be to win the South, but I just think the Titans are going to be in the hunt with the Jags. That just because of their schedule, Titans' schedule, and if they play where they were last year, the Jags, and we play better than last season and stay healthier, get the offense, I feel like it's going to come down to the end once again to see who wins the division. And they play them at the end of the season, don't they?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think that's where it's going. So I don't know about where they'll be as far as wins, but I think that's going to be really vital. That last game is going to have an impact on who wins the AFC South.
I think
the Titans are going to be better than people think, and I think the Jags won't take this big, huge jump like people think just because of their schedule. So that'll put them, both of them, back right there at that 9-8, 10-7 range. And the head-to-head is going to matter. And naturally, always the AFC South. But one thing I do agree, the Titans have to, I'm not going to, they should sweep the Colts and the Texans if both young quarterbacks are out there. Just on that alone, just because they're going to make mistakes. So if that happens and then split with the Jags, that put you at, 5-1. So, yeah.
So 3 9-win teams made the playoffs last year and an 8-win team. So 9 wins can get you into the NFL playoffs in the current world that we live in. A 9-win team, at least one's gotten in there.
What's Vegas say to Titans?
They say 7.5,
Yeah.
and this Vic Tafur guy says, I think they'll win more than 7.5.
Yeah, I think they're going to be at the 9 and 8 range, and probably better. But I'm gonna always be on the low end when I'm guessing their schedule. In their record. Because man, when I look at their schedule, I go, "Ooh, I don't know." Coin toss, and that all tells me is because I don't know what version of the Titans are going to be playing. I don't know what they're going to be like, at least on offense. Like, how much better is Burks going to be? How much more impact will he have and Chig have with the players they already have, with Phillips, with, these additions, so, and then how much impact will Henry still have? Will he be just lit on fire just because he knows this could be his last year as a Titan? Mm-hmm. And he may be on the open market. Tannehill playing for a new contract, whether it's here or somewhere else. I'm assuming somewhere else. So they all have to play their best. And Dillard, Skoronski, whoever, it doesn't matter. If they all hitting on, it's a pretty solid offensive line if things fall in place. Even at receiver, if it's a change of pace and we don't know what that's going to look like, those guys are capable.
Well, like you've said before, down there, doesn't matter what you think about the receivers. Down there in the building,
they believe
in those guys.
Because their actions telling you what they believe. That's not to say they're not going to do another addition, but there's not unless some high-level guy gets cut. And then how are they going to afford him if he still can play?
Yeah.
Like, okay, where are we going to get this money from?
To get it in the couch cushions. Maybe they can ask Teresa Walker for money. Once she bought a car with a coin she had rolled. You know that story?
No, she has to retell that.
Okay, when we come back, Teresa Walker on John Morant. We'll talk Titans and how she bought a car for her son with coins that she rolled. That's a real story. We'll ask her that next. Blaine and Mckee.
Oh,
it's
wow.
real.
Now, listen, we have some exciting news for you. For many of you who have lived here a long time, you already know Eurofix has been in Middle Tennessee area for the European car repair needs now for 24 years, and we've all gotten to watch them grow. And I don't know about you, but I love watching the hometown business take off. Well, we are now proud to announce the 5th location in Mount Juliet for Eurofix on Mount Juliet Road, right across the street from Dairy Queen. And Eurofix now can serve you in Franklin, Hundred Oaks, Murfreesboro, Belmead, and now Mount Juliet. Pretty cool getting to watch a small town mechanic starting in the barn in his backyard of a single wide trailer and now grow to 5 locations repairing thousands of cars each month. And in Eurofix, you get a 3-year nationwide warranty and a free loaner car with every repair appointment. And all you have to do is just give them a call at 844-EUROFIX. That's right, 844-EUROFIX, or you can just visit them online at myEurofix.com. That's myEurofix.com. But I was telling Blaine to jump.
Blaine and Mckee, 104.5 The Zone. Jackson is producing. He's playing only songs by Jackson today. So some Jackson Brown for you. Teresa
everything
Walker.
with Jackson.
Teresa Walker, our guest, the
Good
Associated Press Hall of Famer, at Teresa M. Walker on Twitter. So, Teresa, when I was teasing your segment, we've been talking about money some, Blaine and me, in the breaks, and I said, I'll tell you somebody who is smart with money. Our next guest bought a car with coins.
And I just lit up like, what the heck are you talking about?
It's
He
a
said,
real
you don't know
thing.
the story?
Tell
I
him
said,
what happened.
No, I don't know this story. Tell me the story there.
Oh,
Hall of
Blaine,
Famer.
it's a beautiful story. My husband, when we had our son, who was born in '99, my husband would just, how spare change just collects all around the house, right?
Yeah,
Everywhere.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And he would, throw it into a pot. He would roll it up, take it to the bank, put it into a bank account with our son's name on it and his name on it. And, by the time we got to just before 16, we used that money to buy his first used car.
Oh, wow. That's, I can't believe I didn't
Nearly
think about that
16 years
idea.
of change, baby.
Oh, man. I know. I probably got, many a change in the corners of my couch. Either that or my cleaning ladies put it in her pocket. Crap.
Hey, throw it into a bucket, throw it into a pile, put it into a bank, whatever, and you can go to the bank and you can buy the things to roll them up, and he does that still, and we'll go put the money away, and because every now and then I get, do you have 3 quarters? Do you have 5 nickels? Do you have some pennies? And it's like, here's my change, honey, just take it. I used to try to save it to, pay parking meters, but, now you can pay with, just scan QR code and pay that way. But, so I don't have as much change in my car as I used to, but, that's the thing. Everybody has changed. I mean, we helped my mother-in-law move out. She sold her house last year, and my late father-in-law, who's been gone 5 years, we found piles of coins everywhere. I mean, little baskets inside nightstands, tables here, there, the other thing. It was just amazing where it was we're talking, tens of dollars. I mean, I think my husband said at one point he took and rolled up $120 worth of coins. So if you haven't visited Grandma and Grandpa, go visit them. They might make it worth your while.
Oh,
I'm telling you, see, that's the way it is. So
that's why she's the Hall of Famer.
She is. So let me ask you this. Can you save some coins to give to John Morant to make up for that $39 million he lost by not making All-NBA?
My low blow, leg sweep.
Hey, worse is the fact that apparently Nike doesn't have, he's got a new shoe coming, and it's disappearing.
What?
It's not. It doesn't seem to be available, so that's another challenge, right? So the job ones came out April 19th. Well, apparently they were supposed to come out a little sooner, so that got delayed from the wonderful, fun thing of the what happened in March, and now you've got a commissioner saying he is very unhappy with what happened. So yeah, at this point, guys, he's at risk of losing a lot more. I mean, one of the things I'm doing today is prepping. I talked to a professor who's a former commissioner of the of Australia's National Basketball League, and he says Nike tends to be patient, but you can't go on the Nike app and order the Hunger Games or something that his next shoe that's supposed to be coming out within the next is actually supposed to be coming up in next week, May 25th. Now you can get it on sneakers and a couple other spots, but that's what he's facing is actual consequences. He had a countersuit to the teenager that accused him of the fight on the pickup court last July. Well, the fun, he said in the lawsuit that it's jeopardizing right now deals with sponsors. This did not make it better. Okay, aside from ruining my Mother's Day. Thanks, Ja. The fact of the matter is he's costing him, forget the All-NBA money. That signature shoe with Nike, Kanye's, Adidas shelved his shoes. Nike got rid of Kyrie Irving and their deal with him. Having a signature shoe with Nike is a big deal, and that is at risk. I mean, at the All-Star Game weekend, they gave him this big diamond encrusted necklace. Ja won a pendant, for to go around his neck, and when nobody likes it. If you think $39 million missed out on him, by not getting the supermax in the contract, by missing out on the All-NBA team, and guys, he finished 8th in the second half of the season for jerseys sold off of the NBA.com site, right? Just there. So he's popular. He is a 2-time All-Star. I mean, he is there's a reason Nike gave him that deal. The money he could end up missing out on, Spot Rack had it the other day. If he ends up missing 20 games or so, they broke down how much his salary could end up being, per game cost. We estimated about $669,000 is what he lost in the 8-game suspension. Well, his big contract clicks into gear this season, and he may be sitting this season out. And after hearing Adam Silver's comments Tuesday night, guys, anywhere from 20 to 45 games to the season, everything is in play.
Yikes.
And that could be $33.5 million.
Teresa Walker getting it down, breaking it down dollar by dollar here on Blaine and Mckee with the Associated Press.
Oh, my
to the penny.
My neck just cracked. What the heck going on? Any other sponsorships that he potentially can lose here outside of the Nike?
Well, that's the thing. The lawsuit just mentioned, jeopardizing, sponsorships that were essentially in negotiations, it seems. But think back the March 4th, that video came out bright and early that morning from the Denver area strip club. Well, you know who had just started airing a national commercial Wednesday before that? Powerade. You know how quickly that commercial disappeared? Within the week. So that's one. And, so it's like, that's the thing. It's not just the Supermax contract. It's all these other deals. And, that's the thing. The professor I spoke to, he's like, Nike tends to be cautious, because, guess what? What ticks off one group of people might sell better to a different audience.
Right.
And so, that this might have been thought out on Ja's part to appeal to a certain group. But when I talked to a pastor in Memphis back in March after the incident at the strip club Shotgun Willie's outside of Denver, I talked to this pastor who spoke at Young Dolph, the rapper's funeral. And I mean, let's remember, his home is in Shelby County, Memphis. And, Memphis is, I've got a buddy who works in TV news there. It's almost daily where he is at a scene where somebody's been shot. So, and that's what makes the commissioners, he used words shocked, disappointed. Somebody was asking me, my husband, do you think that Ja gets called up to the NBA commissioner's office again? And I'm like, I don't think so. And I say this, if it were my son, you're darn right, I've got him on the couch and I'm sitting him down and I'm talking to him. But in this case, the commissioner, he talked to Ja in March. And, Ja convinced him that he was sincere and meant everything. And then now within 3 months, you've got a second situation here. I don't know about you, but as a mama, I wouldn't be sitting down with him again. I'd do it if it's my kid, but if it's an employee, essentially, and that's what he is, no, I'm not calling him up there. I am expecting, because here's the thing, guys. Adam Silver has a news conference usually a few hours before game 1 of the finals. That's June 1st. That is why I'm expecting and preparing for some sort of decision to come down sooner rather than later. The season training camps don't open until the last week of September. I don't think we're going to be waiting nearly that long to get an answer.
No doubt about it. We're on with Teresa Walker, AP Pro Football writer, Hall of Famer, of course. I guess looking from the other lens, because I think we're always looking at both sides on it on the Blaine and Mckee show, and that is, explain to some of our listeners who want to defend Ja to a certain extent and explain to them why, celebrities can be held to a higher standard by their employer than the actual law. Because that's what people are going to say. Well, he just had a gun out, and that's legal, and even though you have permit or not permit. So kind of take us through that process of why it's different for him.
Well, because, again, his employers, the Memphis Grizzlies,
Yep.
he is a face.
NBA.
He is the face with Jaren Jackson Jr. and Desmond Bain, but arguably he is the two-time All-Star, okay? He was the Rookie of the Year. Last year he was the most improved player of the NBA, so he has a higher profile than, say, Xavier Tillman or, one of the other guys on the roster. So, he's more visible. And, yes, your employer in the NBA, when he was suspended for 8 games in March, the NBA release pointed out for conduct detrimental to the league. Mm-hmm. Well, guess what? If I did something that reflected poorly on my employer, and you might be working on an assembly line or at a restaurant, but if you did something that reflects poorly on your employer, that's where the First Amendment does not apply. That's where the Second Amendment does not apply, because it protects you from government coming down on your head. I mean, we don't know where this Instagram video was live streamed from. If it's from Tennessee, the state legislature, the governor, they had been loosening gun laws in the last few years. Not likely to face any kind of legal charges here. There were no legal charges filed in Colorado because they couldn't, determine, exactly whose gun was it, how did it get here, was it ever transported on an NBA flight, the Grizzlies were in the midst of a road trip. So when you can't pin down some of those, you don't face legal charges. But your employer, and the Grizzlies are his employer, they have a contract, he is in a union with the NBA Players Association, but there is an article in the CBA that allows punishment. Guys, do we not remember Pac-Man Jones getting suspended for a whole NFL season? And, because of conduct off of the field. So, you can be held to a higher standard by your employer because you do have a higher place. I mean, there's a reason his face has been on billboards all over Shelby County. And it's the reason why, again, his jersey was the 8th best-selling jersey the second half of the season, and that was just on the NBA.com store. So when you get the bigger money, you have a more visible face, and you're held to a higher standard.
Yeah, no doubt about it. With Teresa Walker. One more on the job front, and I'll let Mckee kind of touch on the Titans. And that is, with the season coming up and them not knowing where the suspension may go, whether it's 25, 50 games, or even a season, how does now the organization go about structuring their team? They need to have this up on the board, even when they're talking about draft, trades, and even, it sounds crazy, potentially even trading Ja Morant. So the thought process, if he's going to miss, then how good are we going to be, or how are we going to play without him? Because they played fairly well without him during the times he missed when he was injured as well as suspended. But where's the organization on this process of thinking about how they structure their team for next season?
Blaine, they absolutely need to know sooner rather than later, which is why, if there is an NBA, announcement, suspension on whatever they're doing comes before June 1st, hugely helpful. The NBA draft is in June. It's, I'm looking at my schedule, I think it's June 22nd. So that would help them be planning for what they need to do. They've got the 25th pick overall. I think they've got 2 more in the second round. And this is a team that already was going into this offseason trying to figure out, okay, no, we're not going to pick up the option on Dylan Brooks. There was a report that AP confirmed that, they've essentially told him, no, we're not going to do that. You're not coming back here after, this offseason, this last season. And he ended up making the all-defensive team, right? Mm-hmm. So, you're telling a guy who is an all-defensive player in the league, we don't want you back. It certainly opens up options. Taylor Jenkins made very clear when they were cleaning up, 2 days after not even 2 days, more like 36 to 40 hours after their series loss to the Lakers, that they essentially needed to grow up and that they've got to be more serious, and they've got to, and this is a team that, guys, they earned the number 2 seed in the Western Conference 2 straight years. This last season, not this year, but last year, not a player 30 or over made a bucket for that franchise. This is a young team. And so they've got to figure out if they're going to have Ja out 25, 40 games, well, then Tyus Jones, who was a guy who was being, it's like there was some speculation. Do they trade him to bring in somebody else to create some cap space so they can bring in a starter to, give them more help than Dylan Brooks was providing offensively? That option may be gone because you may be needing Tyus Jones to be your starting point guard for the half the season. So it absolutely is going to affect what they do and how they go about things. And they don't have a ton of cap space. They've got a mid-range exception to help them make some moves, but they've got a lot of young talent on this roster, and that limits what they're able to do as well. So it's going to be very interesting to see what Zach Kleeman, the GM, who's made some masterful moves to rebuild this franchise. I mean, they went from 7 straight playoff berths to a rebuild that when they got the number 2 pick overall with Ja, that accelerated that rebuilding process tremendously. So now they are at a turning point in the road of where do we go now? And stay tuned because I can't hazard a guess at this point.
Teresa Walker, hey, just before we let you go, we're almost out of time here. Fantastic stuff on Ja, and I know a lot of people had questions, and you're giving them answers. We've seen the rookies on the field. I know you were there. Just maybe some quick rookie camp observations before we let you go.
Real quick, I like the competitiveness I see out of Will Levis. He's got a good arm, and yes, I'm somebody who wanted Hendon Hooker. I'm more than willing to give Will Levis a chance. I think that the Titans would be very happy if he gets to watch and learn from Ryan Tannehill all season long. Josh Wiley, love how this young man can adjust to the ball. You can tell he started as a wide receiver. Peter Skoronski, the first-round pick, he worked at left tackle and left guard. Guys, I think it's going to be let this situation work out on the offensive line with all the changes that they've made.
Teresa, thank you. Always great catching up with you. People need to be following you at Teresa M. Walker. You'll get Titans info. You'll get Ja info and Grizzlies. You'll get Vols. You'll get it all, even news stuff through the Associated Press. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, guys. Take care.
All right, to Queen Teresa Walker. All right, when we come back, this article popped up yesterday on my feed, and taking a look at the 2020 draft per team. And when you relook at the Titans draft, you'll understand a lot of where they are now, who they drafted, Just have a seat and get ready because this is a smack in the face. Titans 2020 draft regraded by CBS Sports. Come on back for this. Blaine and Mckee 104.5 The Zone.
Right out of Gary, Indiana. Right there. 1, 2, 3.
I've been to Gary, Indiana.
Oh, boy. I'm so glad I see you then. Because I don't know how you made it up out of there.
My friend's grandparents are from Gary,
I don't
Indiana.
know what's worse, Gary, Indiana, or Memphis. Somewhere in Memphis.
I spent a summer there painting barns.
What? You stayed a summer?
I stayed weeks one summer, like several weeks with my friend.
The GI, huh?
Gary, Indiana.
That's what they say. People from Naptown call it GI. You was in GI.
This dude's grandfather, we went up there to visit. He had all this work for us to do.
Oh, I got
and we had DFWG, don't F with grandpa. that dude would set you straight. And his grandmother was real sweet. His grandfather was mean. And so I'm a big music guy. And I said, do you know like Jackie Jackson or Tito or Marlon or Mike? And she goes, they all used to work at a grocery store. They carried out my groceries. I knew all of them.
Oh.
But by this time they were long, they were long gone. But she said, Joe, who was the dad, moved them to Hollywood eventually, moved them to Los Angeles. She said, oh, yeah, they all used to work at a grocery store.
Oh, yeah.
It's like, dang, man. They have a barn I could paint. Maybe I could meet, the Jacksons. All right. Speaking of letters, ABC 123. Nice job, Action Jackson. Tennessee Titans, CBS. You know how people go back and they look at drafts like we always say, we can't fully evaluate a draft for 3 years.
This one I got Jordan DeJaney, right? This wasn't him.
No, this was not him. This is, I think, Will Brinson, one of his counterparts. So this was CBS said, okay, well, you say you can't evaluate a draft for 3 years. Let's go back 3 years. 2020 Titans draft. They got a C at the time. That was generous. They have regraded it to a D-. Here's the Titans 2020 draft. 2021 is kind of trending in a similar direction, but here was 2020. First pick was Panda. He played one game as a Titan. And by one game, I mean 3 snaps.
Mm-hmm. Came miss on the first rounder.
Second pick was Christian Fulton, who's a good player, who got called out by his coach when the season ended for being a habitual soft tissue offender.
Yeah, which I don't too much care for that.
On an expiring contract. Pick 3 was, so Fulton has played 30 games here. Pick 3 was Darrington Evans. He played 6 games here. Pick 4 was Laurel Murchison, who we didn't really, defensive line, didn't know much about him. He's still in the league with the Rams. He played 26 games here. He was like a part-time player.
Yeah, he didn't even dress some games.
He did not. That. Then they had a couple of 7th-round picks. Cole McDonald, who was a guy that came here from Hawaii. They immediately shipped him back to Hawaii.
It was 3 weeks. It was some short amount of time. It was a camp.
He didn't make. I don't think he even made it.
Yeah, he made it in training camp. It was like an OTA camp or mini camp or something. Yeah. I was like, what? I mean, we didn't even see him.
They did some interviews with him. He'd been like this spunky dude from Hawaii. They won some games. That dude didn't make it through the summer. He was gone. Like they just said, we'll just bring in Matt Barkley or somebody to try to knock off Logan Woodside or whoever was around. This guy's not going to do it. He played 0 games as a Titan. And then the other guys is the guy who you liked coming in. This guy's versatile. He can play corner or safety. Chris Jackson, if you're nasty.
Right, yeah.
It's keeping the Jackson theme of the whole.
Who gets banged up, but they are legitimate injuries.
24 games he has played. So
you can watch his tape. He was solid. Corner or yeah.
So
2 guys, Fulton and Jackson.
So between 3 of those picks, Panda, your first pick, Evans, your 3rd-round pick, and McDonald played a combined 7 games, including your first-round pick, who played 1. Who played?
And they gave that a D-?
They gave it a D. How that's an? I think it was only an F. Not an F because Fulton, of Christian Fulton and because Chris Jackson's still on the team.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. D for sure.
So next year they're going to look at 2021.
What are we looking at? Watch it. Start with the later rounds. Don't tell us the grade.
Okay.
Yet.
Brady Breeze.
Oh, he's not on the team. Well, he got picked up off practice squad.
He went to Detroit. Racy McMath.
Injured.
Jury's still out. Rashad Weaver, who has been injured but is here.
Okay. All right.
Des Fitzpatrick, who they traded up in the 4th round to get. Long gone. Elijah Molden.
Injured.
Monty Rice has a chance. Dylan Radins.
Monty Rice is the starter projected.
Yeah. Dylan Radins injured, didn't play. ACL.
Never played.
Caleb Farley, first-round pick.
Yeah, I rebuke that in the name of Jesus.
Perfect timing. So basically, that's a F. Monty Rice is the only guy playing.
Monty Rice, come on down. Him and Rashad Weaver.
Right, Reaver's a rotational player. Yes, he is. Mm-hmm. So they got to get that a D then.
That's out of 8 people. They drafted 8 people that year.
Remember, I kept on asking, how do you grade a GM? I even asked Coach Mack that. Remember what I don't even remember what he said.
I don't remember either.
It was like 50-50 coin toss or something. I don't know. That's how I felt when I
losses,
finished.
Maybe. I don't know.
Well, that's you were, and Vrabel was winning in spite of.
Yeah.
Ooh, whoa, that's horrible. 2 Ds.
Now, the class before that, 2019, was Big Jeff and AJ and Nate Davis and DeAndre Walker, who just washed out and never wound up playing, and David Long. That's a pretty good crew.
Yep.
You know, that's a crew that helped you and played through their contracts.
4 solid guys. Yeah. Starters.
Year before that, though, only 4 guys. Rashawn Evans played his rookie deal, gone, didn't pick up his option. Harold Lander, who's been a good player. Dane Cruikshank, who is a serviceable player.
Mm-hmm.
And Luke Falk, who is another quarterback that exported real quickly. So when you wonder why they're drafting quarterbacks and offensive linemen over and over again, it's because they're still trying to fill those holes.
D.
That's why they have to take a running back in the 3rd round because Darrington Evans did.
I would have took a D for a 5-year extension.
All right, we're done grading ourselves for today. I'll give us an A. But right now, we got to get 3 each y'all. They'll get an A. Their grade is going to be good. And Jackson's probably going to help Joe Hunk produce them. Jackson's been here all day. Hunk's ready to go. They're ready to go, and we got to go.
No, we know how to go. He traded for Tannehill.
He did do that.
All right, in the meantime.
In between time. Peace.